Tasha was not the kind of woman who bent for anyone, not her husband, not society, certainly not a mother-in-law. Her mouth was like hot pepper mixed with ginger. If you say one word, she will give you 10. If you raise your voice, she will raise a chair. She didn't fear man. She didn't fear woman. Even thunder feared her tongue. People in her street used to say, "That woman, don't joke with her. She is not as easygoing as she looks." And it was true. If market women gossiped near her, she would face them with her full chest. "Talk about me again, and I will wash you like wrapper." She didn't like anybody trying to control her. Not her husband, not her pastor, and most especially, not mother-in-law. She always said, "A mother-in-law should know her place. She can't come and be controlling my house. Never." Then she added, "In fact, if my husband still has a mother, may God take her before I enter into his home." People gasped when they heard her say that. But Tasha didn't care. She had fire in her bones and thunder in her tongue. She walked like queen, talked like chief, and when she got angry, it was like hurricane met volcano. But inside her big chest was a small, soft heart, one that just wanted peace. She wanted a man who would love her like new yam, a home that smelled like morning pap, a place where her name would be called with laughter, not insult. But Tasha's life was not sweet like honey. Her anger was like petrol. Just one small match, and boom, everything would scatter. And from that anger, problems followed her like shadow. She had been married not once, not twice, but 3 times. And all 3 ended like broken plates on the floor. Tasha's first husband was tall like Iroko tree. His name was Ikechukwu. People said he was gentle like evening breeze. But one day, he and Tasha argued over soup. Just ordinary soup. He said she didn't put enough salt. Tasha stood up slowly, like lion waking from sleep. She carried bottle of malt, broke it on his head, and shouted, "If you want salt, go and lick ocean." Blood flowed. Neighbors ran in. Marriage ended that same week. The second man was Obina. Rich man. Drove big car. His father came to visit one time. Just small quarrel in the compound. The man shouted, "This is not how a wife should behave." Before the man could sit down, Tasha rushed to the kitchen, came out with knife in hand, and said, "Talk again, and I will slice your tongue like okra." The whole family shouted, "She wants to kill Papa." That one too ended in tears. The third marriage ended in smoke and fire. Tasha came home one night and saw her husband chatting with his ex on his phone. She didn't shout. She didn't talk. She waited till he slept. Then she carried kerosene and poured it round the sitting room. By morning, the house was ash. People gathered, mouths open. The husband ran out barefoot, screaming. The news spread like wildfire. Tasha stood outside with wrapper tied to her chest and said, "If fire can't burn nonsense, then let me turn into smoke myself." That marriage, it didn't last one moon. People started calling her Tasha Fire. They said, "This woman doesn't need dark magic. Her anger alone can scatter shrine." But Tasha wasn't happy. Behind her fire, behind her shouting, behind her thunder voice, she was lonely. She wanted someone who could hold her hand when her body was tired. Someone who could hug her tight when her heart was crying. She was not a wicked woman. She just didn't know how to kneel. She didn't want to fight. She just wanted peace. But peace always ran from her like chicken runs from cutlass. Far away, in another town, there lived a man called Tochukwu. Handsome man. Fine face, clean teeth, beard like fresh cocoyam. Age, 34. Money, he had it. Cars, 2. House, big like church. Business, moving like wind. People used to say, Tochukwu has everything except wife. Every Sunday, his neighbors would ask, Mr. Tochukwu, when are we coming to eat rice? He would just smile and wave. But his smile was hiding something. The real reason Tochukwu was not married was not because of bad luck. It was because of one woman, Mama Doris, his mother. That woman, her mouth was like bell, loud and never tired. Her eyes were sharp like needle. Her voice could wake dead goats. She was a retired teacher, but she still shouted like she was in class. People in the village feared her more than snake. She was always carrying Bible in her left hand and thunder in her right. Prayer, she would shout every morning. Holy Ghost fire! Back to sender! My son shall not marry a Jezebel. When Tochukwu grew up and became a man, Mama Doris still treated him like a little boy. She would enter his bedroom without knocking. She would open his drawers, check his clothes, even sniff his shirts to see if another woman had touched them. If he brought a woman home, she would stand in the kitchen, arms folded, face strong like stone, and say, Who taught you to cook like this? Is this food or punishment? Tochukwu loved his mother, but that love was like prison. Because no matter the woman he brought home, Mama Doris would scatter it like wind scatters dry leaves. She said, No woman is good enough for my son. They all want to eat his money and tie his destiny. She followed him like shadow. Even when he traveled, she would call every 1 hour. Tochukwu was tired. His house was quiet. His bed was cold. But he had no peace. Because the one who should bring peace, his own mother, was the one bringing storm. Tochukwu was a man who walked with quiet steps and gentle eyes. He had money in his pocket and sense in his head. After school abroad, he came back home and started his own business. He bought a house, bought 2 cars. People said, This one is husband material. Then he met Amaka. Amaka was soft like bread. Her voice was low. Her smile was like morning dew. She was respectful, calm, and full of peace. She worked in an office before, but when she married Tochukwu, she left her job to help him from home. She took care of the house, cooked, cleaned, helped with his business documents. She did it with joy. She cooked for him. She cleaned. She prayed. She waited by the door every night until he came back. But Mama Doris didn't smile. From the first day, her eyes narrowed like needle. She doesn't kneel down well, she whispered. Amaka smiled and greeted again. Mama looked away. Her food doesn't smell like a wife's food. She puts too much salt, or maybe too little oil. Maybe she's using charm to hold my son. I'm watching her, she said. 1 month after the wedding, Mama Doris came to visit. She said, I'm not feeling strong. I just want to rest small. She came with 1 bag. But by evening, her things were already in every corner of the house. Her wrapper hung in the bathroom. Her Bible sat on the dining table. Her slippers waited at the door of the master bedroom. She entered the kitchen like she owned it, rearranged the plates, changed the soup pot, poured out Amaka's stew and started her own. At dawn, before birds could sing, Mama Doris would knock on Amaka's door. Where is my hot water? Why are you still sleeping? Don't you know morning devotion starts by 5 a.m.? She sat between Amaka and Tochukwu on the sofa. She held the remote, changed the channel, laughed loudly when Amaka spoke, then hissed when she stopped talking. And anytime Tochukwu traveled for business, Mama Doris moved into their bedroom, slept on their bed, smelled the pillow, took over everything. Amaka was quiet, but her eyes started changing. Her smile became weak. Her shoulders began to drop. But Mama Doris was just getting started. She called Amaka lazy, called her jobless, said she was waiting to trap Tochukwu with pregnancy. Amaka tried. She prayed. She cried. She cooked well, cleaned well, even knelt down well. But nothing was ever enough for Mama Doris. Then came the lie that broke everything. One Sunday, Amaka and Tochukwu argued over house rent. Just normal husband and wife talk. Mama Doris stood behind the door and listened. Before sunset, she had already called half of the village and said, Amaka slapped my son and insulted our family. She called our ancestors poor. Amaka cried. Day after day, her heart was heavy, her spirit tired. One evening, after Mama Doris shouted for 2 hours straight, Amaka packed her bags. She wrote one small note and kept it on the table. I came with love, but I'm leaving with tears. May your house find peace again. Then she left, just like wind blowing through an open window. 2 years passed, like harmattan breeze. Tochukwu's heart was tired, but he still wanted love. One day, at a big business meeting, he met Halima. She was smart, bold, beautiful. She worked with a big company. She didn't kneel to greet, but she spoke with respect. She smiled with her eyes, not just her lips. And most of all, she made Tochukwu laugh again. He didn't tell Mama Doris, not yet. He married Halima quietly in court. No village drums, no dancing, just 2 rings and a promise. But secrets don't sleep long. When Mama Doris found out, her voice shook the walls. You married who? A woman I haven't seen, from another tribe, another religion, and even did a court wedding. Is it now you want to die? Tochukwu said, Mama, she's a good woman. Mama Doris said, Good where? You brought a stranger into my house. You want thunder to strike us? Tochukwu begged, Mama, please, just give her a chance. So Halima came to the house, dressed neat, smelled good, spoke gently. Mama Doris didn't greet her. She walked out of the room. During evening prayers, Mama Doris prayed loud and long. Every strange woman in my son's life, Holy Ghost fire, any Jezebel sent to scatter my family, oh God, expose her. Halima sat there, blinking back tears, but she stayed. Then one day, Halima came back from the hospital with sad news. She had lost the baby. Tochukwu held her, comforted her. But Mama Doris stood by the door and said, I knew it. A dry well. You married a woman who cannot carry a child. What are you doing with her? You want to die childless? She said it again during breakfast. She said it when visitors came. She said it like she was spitting stones. Halima cried in the bathroom, cried into her pillow, cried in silence. Then one early morning, before the rooster crowed, she took her small bag, wrote a short note. I came in peace, but peace did not welcome me. I pray your son finds his voice one day. She placed the note on the kitchen table, closed the door gently, and left. And just like Amaka, she vanished. But this time, Tochukwu didn't just lose a wife. He lost something deeper, hope. He stayed for years without any woman in his life. Then, one sunny afternoon, when the sky was quiet and the wind gentle like lullaby, Tochukwu went for a friend's birthday. That was where he saw her, Tasha. She walked in like a queen who knew her throne. Her steps were strong, her eyes sharp, her voice smooth like rain on zinc. She wasn't smiling too much, but when she did, it melted stone. Tochukwu started. His heart tapped his chest. He walked over. They talked and laughed. And the more they spoke, the more he knew This one was not like the others. She had fire, but not wildfire. This one was steady, controlled, bright. She told him about her job, how she ran her own digital firm, how she was done with nonsense men and nonsense people. Tochukwu listened. Then he sighed. I need to tell you something, he said. She looked at him. Go ahead. He rubbed his head slowly. My mother, she's very involved. She ruined my last 2 marriages. She wants to control everything. I want peace this time, Tasha. Please. Tasha laughed. Not loud, just deep. Then let me meet the lioness in her den, she said, her eyes shining. I'm not your ex's. I don't kneel for madness. If she brings fire, I have my own. Tochukwu smiled small, but fear hid behind it, because he knew 2 fires don't make peace. They make smoke, and maybe war. The first day Tasha stepped into Tochukwu's kitchen, she smiled and tied her apron. The air smelled of pepper and palm oil. She danced small as she stirred the pot. But Mama Doris stood at the door, arms folded, eyes hard. She watched like a hawk watching a chicken. Tasha added, crayfish. Mama Doris hissed. Tasha added pepper. Mama Doris stepped closer. Is this food or punishment? You want to burn someone's tongue? Tasha didn't answer. She just stirred slower. Where's the scent leaf? This soup has no spirit, Mama Doris said again. She picked salt, tasted the soup with her finger, and dropped the spoon with a loud clank. Too much seasoning. Modern girls don't know how to cook again. Tasha blinked. Her hand gripped the spoon tighter, but her lips stayed shut. That evening, as Tochukwu drove into the compound, Mama Doris rushed out with joy. She hugged him before he stepped down. Her voice was loud, sweet like fake honey. My son, my crown, welcome. As he walked in, Tasha came with a glass of cold juice. Mama Doris stepped in front of her and took it first. Let me serve him. I raised him. You just arrived. Tasha stood still. She didn't blink. She didn't smile. But her eyes burned like hot charcoal under dry wood. Tochukwu looked from his mother to Tasha. He felt it. Something was rising. Something strong. Something that smelled like smoke before fire. One morning, after Mama Doris insulted her for the 5th time before breakfast, Tasha sat in the parlor, legs crossed, eyes fixed on the TV. Mama Doris stood by the door, arms crossed, waiting to complain again. You didn't greet me this morning, she said, voice sharp like broken glass. Tasha turned slowly. I greeted you, Mama. You greeted like you're doing me favor. Is that how you greet elders in your village? Tasha stood up, walked close. Her voice was low, but it carried weight. Mama, I've been quiet. I've cooked. I've cleaned. I've endured your words. But let me say this, respect is not one way. If you push me, I will push back. Mama Doris gasped like someone poured cold water on her. She stepped back and shouted, Tochukwu, are you hearing her? She wants to fight me. This girl has fire in her eyes. Send her away before she burns the house. Tochukwu came out slowly from the room, confused, tired. He looked at both of them. The woman who raised him, the woman he loved. But Tasha didn't move. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just stood tall, like a tree that won't bend for the wind. And in that moment, Mama Doris saw it. This one was not going anywhere. The house was quiet that afternoon. Sun was hot. Air was dry. Even the fan was tired. Tasha was in the kitchen, boiling rice. Mama Doris was in her room, silent like snake hiding in grass. Then suddenly, my God, Mama Doris screamed. She ran into the sitting room holding her arm. Blood was dripping. Her wrapper was stained. Her voice shook the walls. 1 hour later, Tochukwu came back from work. He opened the door and saw blood on the floor. He dropped his bag, heart beating fast. "What happened?" he shouted. Mama Doris rushed out, wrapper loose, tears in her eyes. Tochukwu turned to Tasha. "Is this true?" he asked. Tasha's eyes were red, not from guilt, but from anger. "I didn't touch her," she said slowly. "I didn't even go near her." Mama Doris fell on the floor, shouting like funeral had started. Tochukwu's head was spinning, but deep inside, something didn't sit well. He waited till night when everyone was asleep. Then he remembered the small camera he installed in the kitchen months ago after thieves broke into the house once. He quietly picked his phone, opened the app, rewound the video, and there it was. Mama Doris, standing alone, holding small blade, looking around. Then slowly, she dragged it across her own arm. Blood came out. She rushed to the sink, washed the blade, wiped her hands, and sat down quietly like nothing happened. Tochukwu dropped the phone. His hand was shaking. He said nothing the next day. He didn't shout. He didn't cry. But from that moment, his eyes opened. The woman he called Mama was not just prayer warrior. She was war herself. The time came. Tasha stood one morning, tied her wrapper firm, and told Tochukwu, "No wedding until I meet your people. I want to see where you come from." Tochukwu nodded. "All right, we'll go to the village for introduction." Before the words could settle, Mama Doris shouted from the corner, "I must follow. They will not charm my son in that village. I must be there with my prayers." Tasha looked at her. Mama looked back. Fire met fire, but no one spoke. So the three of them packed bags. Big sack for Mama Doris, small traveling bag for Tasha. Tochukwu just carried a briefcase. That evening, they entered the night train. As they stepped into the cabin, Mama Doris rushed ahead and sat beside Tochukwu, her hand already holding his arm tight like rope. She looked at Tasha and smiled small. Tasha looked at her, then quietly sat opposite them. Her eyes didn't blink. Her mouth didn't smile. Trouble sat between them, not shouting, not crying, just sitting there, waiting. The train started moving. Chuku chuku, chuku chuku. The sound of the engine covered the silence in the cabin. Each time Tasha tried to speak, Mama Doris would cough loud. Each time Tochukwu smiled at Tasha, Mama Doris would grab his hand and say, "My son, are you hungry? Should I make you tea?" Tasha said nothing, but her fingers were folding her wrapper like someone tying battle around her waist. Night came. The cabin lights were dim, but the fire inside that train was just warming up. The train was moving slowly through the night. The window whistled small breeze. The engine made soft noise like drum rolling in the dark. Inside the cabin, fire was breathing. Mama Doris had already rushed to sit beside Tochukwu. Her bag was by her feet. Her hand was on his lap. "My son, do you want water? Should I fan you? Hope you are not too cold." Tasha sat opposite. Her eyes were dry. Her lips were tight. She didn't say a word, but her leg was shaking under her wrapper, like thunder hiding in cloud. Each time Tasha spoke, Mama Doris would laugh loud and say, "Nobody asked you." If Tochukwu turned to answer Tasha, Mama Doris would hold his hand quickly and say, "Face me, my son. Don't mind her. She's just jealous because you love me more." Passengers around them were pretending to sleep, but one by one, eyes started opening. Mama Doris opened cooler, brought out small puff. "Here, my son, eat. Don't collect anything from her. You don't know what she mixed inside." Tochukwu coughed. Tasha looked at him. He looked away. Tasha's chest was now rising and falling like breeze blowing firewood. She wanted to talk. She wanted to shout. But she sat still, like lion watching goat misbehave. Her fingers grabbed her wrapper tight. Her eyes refused to blink. Her ears were picking every word Mama Doris dropped like bitter seeds. And Mama Doris? She didn't stop. She kept talking, kept laughing, kept throwing words like stone on water. Let them say I talk too much. At least my mouth is not used for lies and charm. The air inside the cabin became thick, like smoke that refused to come out of the roof. Something was coming, a kind of explosion that only silence can prepare. Tochukwu's mouth was open. He wanted to say something, but words were hiding from his tongue. Mama Doris stood up, adjusted her wrapper, and began. I can't wait for the elders to see what you're dragging into our family. This is not a wife. This is a storm wearing wig. She pointed at Tasha. You've insulted me in my kitchen, in my house, in my son's heart. But today, in front of strangers, you have crossed the line. Tasha's fingers tightened. Tochukwu touched his forehead. Mama Doris raised her voice again. You think beauty is respect. You think wearing fine cloth means you have home training. My son, are you watching? She's bewitching you with fake gentleness. Someone in the cabin whispered, Ha, this woman has no filter. Another one shifted small to the side, ready for anything. Tasha looked up slowly. Her eyes met Mama Doris' eyes. Hot, sharp, cold. Mama Doris was shaking, not from fear, but from anger. Her eyes were red like pepper. Her hand rose slowly, fingers wide like frying pan. She shouted, Let me teach you how to respect your mother-in-law today. Her palm flew through the air. But Tasha moved, sharp, quick, smooth like cat jumping fire. She dodged the slap, and before Mama Doris could bring her hand down, bam! Tasha's own slap landed. Hot, loud, wicked. The sound slapped the cabin. Brah! One baby in the corner started crying. A woman gasped and covered her mouth. A man dropped his snacks. Mama Doris froze. Her hand remained in the air. Her cheek turned red like burning charcoal. She shouted, You slapped me? Me? Your mother-in-law? Tasha stood up, her wrapper shaking on her waist. Yes, because enough is enough. You have carried insult like handbag, but today I drop it for you. Mama Doris stood too. Her legs were shaking, like broom dancing in her Matan breeze. She pointed at Tasha, lips trembling, voice cracking like old radio. My son, are you watching? She has shown her true color. Jezebel, daughter of snakes. Tochukwu sat like stone, his mouth open. But no word came out. The train didn't stop. But the world inside that cabin had stopped moving. Everybody was quiet. Even the wind outside held its breath. Something bigger was coming. The cabin was hot, not from heat, but from fire inside people's bodies. Tasha stepped forward, face hard like grinding stone. Her chest was moving fast. Her hands were shaking. She grabbed Mama Doris by the arm. Her voice was loud, her words sharp. Go and destroy his life outside, not inside, not here, not with me inside. Mama Doris pulled back. Don't touch me, you witch. Tasha didn't let go. Mama struggled, twisted her arm. Her wrapper slipped a little. Passengers stood up now. Some shouted, Hey, take it easy please. But it was too late. The train door had been opened a little for fresh air. Mama Doris lost her step. Her slippers bent. Her legs slipped. Her back leaned the wrong way. One scream. Just one. Then, whoosh! Her body flew out like plastic bag in the wind. Silence swallowed the cabin. People ran to the window. Tochukwu rushed forward, held the edge of the door, but it was empty. Just night wind and rail track. The train kept moving. Nobody spoke. Nobody blinked. Even Tasha stood still, hands still stretched out, eyes wide like someone who saw ghosts. Mama Doris was gone. Just like that. The train didn't stop, but peace, fear, shock, and silence entered together. Before the train reached the village, the news ran ahead like gossip on a bicycle. Mama Doris fell from moving train. They said Tasha pushed her. She's dead. No, they say she disappeared inside bush. Mouths were moving. Ears were full. But hearts were not crying. Because the villagers knew Mama Doris. They knew her mouth. They knew her ways. She was the woman that chased her neighbor with Bible. The one that poured anointing oil on people's soup. The one that prayed fire on every bride. So, when the story entered the village square, people didn't shout. They only shook their heads. One elder removed his chewing stick, wiped his mouth, and whispered, "Sometimes evil wears respect, like wrapper." Another one nodded slowly and said, "That girl may have saved him from spiritual problem." Even the women that used to gossip Tasha before began to whisper differently. "At least this one does not carry charm," one said. "She just had enough." The chief of the village heard it too. He called his elders. They all sat under the mango tree and talked quietly. No one said, "Let's fight Tasha." No one said, "Let's report to police." No one even said, "Sorry," because deep down, they all knew Mama Doris had been fighting peace for too long. And this time, peace fought back. The train finally stopped at the next small station. People rushed down. Some were still talking. Some were just silent. Railway workers called rescue team. Torchlights came out. Voices shouted into the night. "Check the bush! Look by the rail. She might be alive." After almost 1 kilometer, they found her. Mama Doris, lying deep in the bush. Her wrapper was torn. One leg bent like old broom. Her head was big on one side, blood on her elbow, dust all over her face. But she was breathing, small, like wind trying to blow through tight hole. She groaned, "Water! Somebody give me water." They rushed her to the nearest hospital in town. Doctors carried her in. Nurses cleaned her up. Oxygen pipe entered her nose. Needle entered her hand. Bandage covered her leg. She didn't die. Her body was broken, but her mouth still moved small. Back at the station, Tasha stepped out of the train slowly. Her eyes were tired. Her wrapper was loose. Her hands held her small bag. 2 policemen walked up to her. No greeting, no talking. One of them brought out handcuffs and said, "You are under arrest for attempted murder." The metal clicked around her wrist. Tochukwu froze. People shouted, "Ah, she didn't push her. It was mistake." But police, no, they hear noise. They carried Tasha into the van like she was thief. Drove away. Tochukwu stood there, chest heavy, eyes empty. His world was now like Mama Doris' body, scattered, bleeding, and not sure if it would survive. Mama Doris was lying on the hospital bed, bandage on her head, leg tied with white cloth, drip hanging beside her like silent punishment. She looked weak, but her face still held pride, that same pride that chased peace away from her house. Tochukwu entered the room, quiet, like someone carrying grief. He pulled chair and sat by her side. His voice was low, but sharp like blade. Why, Mama? Why do you hate every woman I bring? What did they do to you? Mama Doris looked away, eyes on the ceiling. I was protecting you. Tochukwu's face changed. His voice rose. Protecting me? He said. You broke my heart 3 times. You chased Amaka away. You called Halima barren. Now Tasha is in police cell because of you. Mama Doris opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Tochukwu stood up, his hand on his chest. His eyes were wet, but he wiped them quick. If you don't tell me the truth today, I swear, I'll walk out of this hospital and never come back. You can die here alone, Mama. No tears, no goodbye. Silence filled the room. Even the drip beside her stopped making sound. Mama Doris turned her face slowly. Her lips shook. Her eyes blinked. Then she whispered, Tochukwu, you're not my biological son. Tochukwu's head turned like someone that just heard thunder inside water. What did you say? Mama Doris looked up at the ceiling like she was talking to the sky. Your father married 2 women. I was the first. No child. Nothing. Then he married Neka, your real mother. She got pregnant in 1 year, but she died during childbirth. Your father gave you to me. He begged me to raise you as mine. He told everyone I gave birth. I agreed, but deep down I never forgot how Neka mocked me. Tochukwu didn't move. Mama Doris continued, her voice now shaking. She used to laugh at me, say I was just occupying space, say she gave your father what I couldn't, a son. Those words followed me like shadow. Tochukwu blinked slowly. His lips moved, but no sound came out. And each time you brought a woman home, it felt like Neka was laughing again. I saw her in them. I heard her voice, and I couldn't stop myself. Mama Doris began to cry. But Tochukwu didn't touch her. His heart was already bleeding. The woman he called mother had carried bitterness for years, and she planted it inside his life like poison in yam. Tochukwu stood slowly. His chest was heavy like sack of wet sand. So, all this pain, all this destruction was because of something she said before dying. Mama, Doris nodded. Yes, I let bitterness grow inside me, and it made me blind. She cried harder now, but Tochukwu didn't hug her. He picked his phone, walked to the door. Before leaving, he said quietly, You didn't destroy them, Mama. You destroyed me. Then he walked out. Her tears followed him, but his ears had closed. Back in the police station, the officers watched the video from the kitchen camera. They saw everything. Mama Doris standing alone, holding blade, cutting her own arm, washing the knife, and later, on the train, they saw her slip. No push, just struggle, noise, and a fall. It was clear now Tasha didn't try to kill her. The case was dropped. Tasha came out of the cell. Her eyes were swollen. Her voice was tired, but her spirit was still standing. Tochukwu was waiting outside. He held her hand, didn't say much, but that one touch spoke louder than any word. Later, he went back to the hospital, paid all the bills, bought medicine, paid for wheelchair, paid for transport. But when it was time to speak to Mama Doris, his voice came like cold rain. You're going back to the village, Mama. She blinked fast. Let me stay small. I will behave. Let me just bless the house when you two marry. Tochukwu shook his head. Number. You have cursed this house enough. You poured pepper in my peace. You turned my heart to ash. There's no more space for you. Not in my house. Not in my future. Mama Doris started crying. Tochukwu, I raised you. I carried you. He looked away. And then you broke me, one piece at a time. He called his uncle. arranged transport, told the driver, drop her in front of the old compound. If she tries to come back, don't open the door. He also sent message to all the family members. Let nobody bring her back into my house. Not for omugwo, not for birthday, not for burial. She's not welcome. And just like that, Mama Doris left the city in a van with a wrapper, a walking stick, and the shadow of her own mistakes. 3 moons passed like lazy breeze. No noise, no drama, no village dance. Tochukwu and Tasha wore simple clothes. Invited few friends. Just rings, smiles, and small jollof. The pastor said, "May this house know peace." Tasha said, "Amen." And this time she meant it from her heart. No family elders came. No family meeting held. They didn't wait for permission. They just wanted peace. And they finally got it. Back in the village, Mama Doris sat in her old room, her legs still twisted. Her head still had the scar. Her voice was quiet now, like generator that ran out of fuel. Only one cousin came sometimes to sweep, cook small soup, and drop medicine. Nobody visited. Nobody called her. Nobody mentioned her name in Tochukwu's house. Even during prayer, her name was skipped, like bad verse in Bible. The woman who once shouted every morning now sat by the window, watching silence like it was punishment. And maybe it was. Moral of the story: bitterness is like slow poison. It doesn't kill fast. It waits. It hides. It grows. Mama Doris watered bitterness like flower, and pain grew tall in her house. She thought she was protecting her son, but she was burning his future. She chased away love, pushed peace outside, and hugged anger like baby. She forgot, not every wound comes from strangers. Some are cooked in the same kitchen we eat from. Tochukwu found truth. It broke him, but it also opened his eyes. Tasha found peace, not in a big wedding or loud praise, but in a home where love was not fighting for space. Mama Doris, she found silence, not the kind that brings rest, but the one that comes when no one is listening anymore. This tale is a calabash full of lessons, because love without boundaries is not love, and family without respect is not home. I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video, comment what you learned from the tale, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more enchanting tales just like this one. Thank you.